Welcome to the Folk School on Willow Creek, featuring University Distinguished Professor Tom Wieersehen, singing and telling stories from the Salon on Willow Creek.
I need a bed for the night, boys, and my horses need hay. I've been riding that grove line on the Hotdish Highway. May I sleep in your barn tonight, mister? It's cold lying out on the ground, with the cold rain falling upon me, north wind whistling around. I have no tobacco and matches. I'm sure I will do you no harm. I'll tell you my story, kind whisper, that runs through my heart like a charm. It was 3 years ago last summer. I shall never forget that sad day when a stranger came out from the city, for some place to stay. And the stranger was tall, fair and handsome, looked like a man who had a wealth. Said he wanted to live in the country, wanted to stay for his health. My wife said she'd like to be earning something to add to our board. So in our talk it was finally decided that the stranger could stay in our home. One night I came home from my workshop. I was whistling and singing with joy, expecting a warm-hearted welcome to receive from my wife and my boy. Oh, but what should I find but a letter? It was placed in the room on a stand. The moment my eyes fell upon it, I picked it right up in my hand. Now the note said my wife and the stranger, they had left, they had taken my son, and now only God up in heaven really knows what that stranger has done. Gonna sleep in your barn tonight, mister. It's cold lying out on the ground, with the cold rain falling upon me, and the north wind howling around. Well, we thought we'd cheer you up a little bit tonight, starting now. Well, what kind of song is this, really? In a lot of categories. Tearjerker, right? It's a tearjerker. And it's a hobo song, so that's a whole category of Great Plains balladry. But a couple of things really stick out about it. One of them is, the poor naive husband who is heartbroken by betrayal So there's one big theme. There's this other one that's sort of almost historical for the prairies here. It's a stranger came out from the city. Now, if that isn't a prairie trope, what is? A stranger came out from the city. You know this cannot end well, right? And so I had never really thought very deeply about this song. My attention was originally brought to it by, Jim Hoy and I were out. This would have been in 1990, Dr. Kelly. Jim Hoy and I were out singing in Larned, Kansas, when David Clapsaddle, who's kind of a local authority on the Santa Fe Trail, and he worked at the Larned State Hospital there, came up and said, "Could you sing 'Can You Sleep in My Barn Tonight, Mister?' Sometimes it's may I, sometimes it's can I." And I said, "Oh, I know how it goes, and I can come up with a couple verses, not very many." And he whipped out, see, this is a copy of it. He whipped out 2 pages, handwritten lyrics of it, and handed them to us. And so he sang it that night, and then I began to look into it. Now, here's what I find about this song, and it changes my whole understanding of it. It's one of those songs that we really don't know where it came from. It has one reputed author, Carson Robeson, the hillbilly singer, said one particular fellow wrote it, but I don't believe that at all. The original recording of it was by Charlie Poole and the North Carolina Ramblers. It's a terrible recording. The up-tempo treatment with fiddle breaks and all that stuff, it doesn't fit the song whatsoever. That was 1925. Then 1926, Vernon Dalhart recorded it with a fully expressive voice. And that's when the tears started to flow. But still, nobody knew where it came from, and we don't yet today. I know that Charlie Poole did not write it, even though he was the first one to do a commercial recording of it. He could not have. Nobody would write a song that bad, the way they did it. Just where it came from, we don't know. But here's the thing as to what we're supposed to think of it. And it brings us around to the season, and that's a big deal with the Willow Creek Folk School. The seasons of life here on Willow Creek and up and down the prairies, our friends all the way down to Oklahoma and Texas, the seasons. This is a Christmas song, folks. Study the discography carefully, and you find that Edison Records released the Vernon Dalhart recording of it December 1926. It's a Christmas song. Because we're supposed to feel, this time of year, we begin to feel moved. We should all times of year, but at this point, we feel moved for the brokenhearted, the downtrodden, the hungry, the homeless, the fellow who wants to sleep in the barn. And we might just let him do it this time of year, huh? When another time of year, we might not. Yeah. So I'm filing this one to trot out every year about this time. About the time of what we Lutherans refer to as First of Advent. May I sleep in your barn tonight, mister. Well, Dr. Kelly, have you been doing anything with NDSU Press? I doubt it.
We've been doing a lot. But speaking of feelings for this time of year, when I got to work today, I had a lovely card from one of our authors, Brett Salisbury, who was the winner of the Poetry of the Plains and Prairies Award last year, and we published it was last March, I guess. We published his chapbook, Surrender Dorothy. This is the project that the students worked on. And he wrote me this note that I'm going to read to you. Dear Suzanne, what an absolute dream come true to have my chapbook in print, and through a press that put it all together so thoughtfully and with care and love. It is so evident that NDSU, the press, the class, and its students and everyone involved have the goal of putting something together that is all about the writing and the process and preserving the art of letterpress printing. I could not have asked for anything more, and what a great team you all were to work with. I hope things are going well as you wrap up the semester. I'm crossing my fingers that I'll be able to visit in March for the press party and meet some of you. Again, thank you so much for putting this all together and for making a dream of mine come true. Brett, Salisbury.
I ask you out there, should I be worried that Dr. Kelly, there are so many people, particularly authors, in love with Dr. Kelly? Is this a concern?
He's in love with the whole process.
Yeah, all right.
The students, the printing, every part of it. So that's a reason to get up and go back to work again.
Yeah, I think you probably will.
Yeah.
Incidentally, Plain spoke on Prairie Public. The next couple of weeks we'll be talking up North Dakota State University Press. I've got a little review of, what's the book Mike Jacobs put together for the Little Book series? Oh yeah, Field Notes.
Yes.
Real Field Notes should be airing next week on Prairie Public. And the following week, a review and a reading selection from Bonnie Steiger's In Plain Sight.
Excellent.
Yeah, so you better order reprints of both of those, because of my immense influence on the literary public.
Well, we might say too at this time that because of a shortage of staff right at the moment, we won't be shipping out books starting December 22nd until about the 1st of January.
I don't know what that is.
Elroy Lindis calling you.
Elroy.
Yeah, we have to.
Use the chat line.
We have to shut down shipping over the Christmas break, starting December 22nd.
While we're in the sentimental mood, shall we say a word about Michael Miller?
Absolutely.
After how many years is it? 55 years of service to North Dakota State University, Mr. Germans from Russia.
Yeah.
Michael M. Miller is actually retiring. If anybody really believes that, I've got some oceanfront property in Oklahoma.
Well, he's made it quite clear that he'll be volunteering.
I know he's keeping his office.
Yes.
How about that? It was in he'd been working for NDSU for a while, when in 1978, President Laurel Lofsgaard called him in and told him to go and create the Germans from Russia Heritage Collection. And if that wasn't an auspicious moment, I don't know what is. I don't know. I do get a little sentimental about Michael. We've logged a lot of miles together. And I was telling a group of his friends here a couple nights ago as we had a little dinner in his honor. I don't know how many miles I've logged with Michael going across North Dakota. But the problem with traveling with Michael is every time you go down a main street somewhere, he'll say, "Oh, stop here. That fellow there, he's my cousin." How many cousins Michael has, nobody knows. But, there were some of the stories he was telling that night when he started talking about going to school there in Strasbourg and being instructed by the School Sisters of Notre Dame. And how they then encouraged him to recover and nurture his ancestral language, and how influential that was. I'd never heard that story before.
That was a good story,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all best wishes to the Miller Michael, our friend Michael. And I'm sure we're going to see a great deal of him day by day still.
We had a lovely dinner with him just the other night, and it was quite touching to see a young fellow, Jeremy Kopp, who has been working with Michael for about 10 years, give a testimony to the influence that Michael has had on his career and on his personal life, his moral life he spoke about.
Who would have known that Jeremy's such a sentimental crybaby? You wouldn't know it hearing the things that come out of his mouth at a Bison game, would you?
Well,
oh my goodness.
It's just a lovely testimony to a life well lived.
Let's sing something for Michael here. Even though we aren't really parting. It's a song, sort of parting, but it's not. Yeah, it's not a goodbye song, because the key word is Wieersehen. We're going to see you again. This is a song called God Be With You Till We Meet Again. It was written by a rather famous hymn writer, choir director named Rankin. Subsequently translated in German, as I recall, by a social worker in New York City who worked with German immigrants. But that meant this was a song that was adopted as kind of the theme song of a young Christian people's organization, Christian Endeavor, particularly in the Congregational Church and the United Church of Christ. And that Christian Endeavor Society got to be a big deal among the Germans from Russia in North Dakota, South Dakota. And conveniently, there was a German version of the song. Well, I remember a couple of years ago, I was speaking to the Germans from Russia Heritage Society at its annual meeting. They met in Fargo that year. And they said, oh, we're going to have a sing-along. Well, and people were singing along. This is on the program, kind of a sidebar on the program. Come on over, you want to sing some old songs. And so he did. Well, the one that surely caused the voices to swell the most was when they sang, God Be With You Till We Meet Again. Okay, Michael, here you go. I'm going to sing it in the first stanza in English, then repeat it in German and go on from there in German. God be with you till we meet again. By his counsel's guide uphold you. With his sheep securely fold you. God be with you till we meet again. Till we meet, till we meet, till we meet at Jesus' feet. Till we meet, till we meet. God be with you till we meet again. God, Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Möge Ratten euch warten, euch bei seiner Herde halten. Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Wieersehen, Wieersehen, einst vor Gottes Thron wir stehen. Wieersehen, Wieersehen, Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Mög sein Fittich euch bedecken, mög sein Lebensbrot ihr schmecken. Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Wiedersehen, Wiedersehen, einst vor Gottes Thron wir stehen. Wieersehen, Wieersehen, Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Wenn sich Wetterwolken türmen, mögen seine Ewigkeit euch schirmen. Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Wiedersehen, Wiedersehen. Wiedersehen, Wiedersehen. Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Schön koike Liebesumpanir. Durch des Todes Flucht euch führe. Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Wieersehen, Wieersehen, einst vor Gottes Thron wir stehen. Wieersehen, Wieersehen, Gott mit euch, bis wir uns wiedersehen. Well, I'm not going to apologize for choking up a little bit in the third stanza there. So you can just live with that.
You're making people choke up out there too.
Well, okay. We have any guests with us tonight?
Yes, I'm just saying hello to Taylor Rorby. Sorry, messed that up.
I sure hope he's up and fit again.
He is, and he's back on the road, and he shared today on Facebook, it was a local TV news feature of his book and his story, and there was some excerpts of his interview. And
Better say the title, Boys and Oil.
Boys and Oil, yes, growing up in a fractured land, I think is the subtitle.
I believe it is.
Growing up gay in a fractured land. Is that part of it too, of the title? I can't remember. It's certainly the story. So anyway, his interview was so articulate, and he, with grace, talked about circumstances and
Oh, you've listened to it already.
I listened to a segment of it today.
Now you have to point me to it.
Yeah.
Don't suppose our friend Alan Burke is out there tonight.
I haven't seen him chime in.
Or Leah, if anyone's connected with Alan in Emmons County, is there. Wish him quick recovery from whatever bug has got him down.
Right. He is back at his computer, and that's a good sign. So he's writing. My
He did.
sister's out there. Hello, Deanne.
Hey,
I'm
Deanne.
looking forward to seeing you soon.
Well,
She lives in New Mexico, so we have not seen each other, I think it's close to 5 years.
yeah.
That's way too long. She and my mom and stepdad live in New Mexico.
It's time.
So we're going to go see them.
Possibly some decent enchiladas to be found nearby that we
Ooh,
don't have to cook ourselves, too.
Bet there are.
Well, you know, the Willow Creek Folk School, of course, is about these kind of connections. It's about the seasons, but at the heart of it, it's about discovering ballads. You know, we're bringing them back from a century and more ago. And every week there are updates on things that have been found and brought in. A few weeks ago, I was all excited about a new outlaw, well, no, an old outlaw ballad, but new to the world. It completely forgotten, as far as I can tell, since its genesis in 1895 as the autobiographical ballad of the Indian Territory's greatest outlaw, Cjherokee Bill. Cjherokee Bill's song, I read in the Caney Phoenix, that's Caney down on the Oklahoma line, 20th December 1895. Cjherokee Bill entered upon a literary career rather late in the day. We publish below his latest poetical effusion, and the jail officers will vouch for its genuineness. Now, I take from this that Cjherokee Bill was writing other stuff, but that so far is still lost. I hope we come across it here before long. And there interesting press coverage in those days about the capture of Cjherokee Bill in 1895. Nowata, Indian Territory, January 1895. Nowata thrown into a great state of excitement this morning by the arrival of Deputy Marshals Ed Jackson and Bill Smith with the notorious outlaw Cjherokee Bill, bound hand and foot and a captive. Well, we're talking right back at him, Cjherokee Bill, the following month. Reading this account of an interview with him in jail. After months of scouting Cjherokee Bill, the terror of the Cherokee Nation has been landed behind the bars of United States jail. He is the most disgusted fellow to ever stepped in within the iron railing that encloses so many tough citizens. To a reporter early Tuesday morning, Bill said he never saw the deputy marshals while they were looking for him, except when the smoke was coming out of his gun. Why, he exclaimed, if they will just put me out on the prairie, I can whip any 10 deputy marshals in the territory. Bold talk. Yes, indeed, from Cherokee Bill. But this idea that he is a poet, this is intriguing. An outlaw poet writing from jail. Well, I've got the text of it here, and here's the new discovery part of it. I hinted, a couple of months ago that, gosh, this thing sounds an awful lot like Australian outlaw ballads. And there are things about the way the episodes are recounted, certain rhetorical flourishes, but I couldn't quite peg it. And how the heck would Cherokee Bill in the Oklahoma Territory, in the Indian Territory, later Oklahoma, how would he have, in the 1890s, learned outback outlaw ballads and then adapted one of them to be about himself? How could that happen? Well, there are a couple possibilities. One of them is the Australian outlaw ballads mainly have Irish prototypes, and so there are Irish outlaw ballads that came over, and then in Australia they morph into the song, the classic outlaw ballad, "The Wild Colonial Boy." So possibly the same outlaw ballads came here and independently evolved, and Cherokee Bill picked it up that way. But there's all right. In researching outlaw ballads now, given digitized texts out there, you learn to look for DNA. All right, there's little snatches of literary descent in these ballads that you find, that's my marker. Okay, I'm going to look for that, and that will show me the line of descent of the ballad. Come all you jolly highwaymen and outlaws of this land. Okay, this is kind of a standard opening for an outlaw ballad, but then it goes to the next one. Who scorn to live in slavery or wear a convict's brand. That's what tipped me off. Wait a minute. To live in slavery or wear a convict's brand. That doesn't just sound like an outlaw that's been clapped in jail. This sounds like penal servitude. This sounds like New South Wales, like Australia. So I began to search for scorn to live in slavery or wear a convict's brand. Bingo. And of course, you don't find that in the Irish ballads, the songs of Irish highwaymen. You find that only in the songs of Australian highwaymen, who were former convicts, you see. They wear the convict's brand. Now, how the heck did that get here? Well, there's a direct connection between the Oklahoma Territory and particularly the Cherokee Nation and the gold rushes of the American West. The Cherokees entered into them. They were among the original discoverers of gold in the Colorado Rockies in the 1850s. And before that, and why were they expert prospectors that they could help discover gold in Colorado? Because they had been to California in the gold rush in the 49 and early 1850s. There also came large numbers of Australian miners as gold rushes petered out there. Bing, they're across the Pacific and into California. And there's your connection. Australian ballads traveling to California on the gold mining, the prospecting frontier, Cherokees and other Cherokee Nation, Indian Nation people, bringing them back to the Indian Territory, and Cherokee Bill then grabbing on to the wild colonial boy and making it his own song. Desperate Cherokee Bill. Oh, was that too circuitous? Come all you jolly highwaymen and outlaws of the land who scorn to live in slavery or wear a convict's brand. Attention pay to what I say and value it if you will, while I relate the natural fate of desperate Cjherokee Bill. Don't you like it already? That bold and brave highwayman, as you may all understand, was banished by the natural eye from the Indians' happy band. From no water town, why I renowned to the very first man he killed. His daring deeds entitled him to desperate Cjherokee Bill. Old Cjherokee Bill and his comrades rode out one afternoon, not thinking of the hand of death that might o'ertake them soon. The sheriff's posse did advance, then quickly came on the hill. The sheriff's posse did advance to take old Cjherokee Bill. Says Cjherokee Bill to his comrades, if you'll prove true to me, today we gain our liberty and ride most manfully. We'll stay with you, says bold Bill Cook, to surrender we'll never agree. Although there be a dozen of them, and of us there is only 3. Begone from me, you cowardly dogs, surrender I never will. I'll fight this day until I die, says desperate Cjherokee Bill. He left the sheriff's posse, one was cold and still, where he had been pierced by a bullet from the rifle of Cjherokee Bill. And when he made good his escape to rob, he went straightway. People were afraid of him to travel night or day. Every day of some daring deed the newspapers would tell, concerning the daring highwayman called desperate Cjherokee Bill. I say Oklahoma is a bit richer for having that ballad in its literary past. Now, what do you say? Hey, there's something we should make note of, and that's calendar, since we kind of make a big deal about that. There will be 2 more Willow Creek Folk Schools this year. That's next week, 9th of December, Folk School number 123.
Oh. Oh, 123.
On the 16th of December, Folk School number 124. And then Dr. Kelly and I are hitting the road. We like to pretend sometimes we have actual lives. And so we'll be making the trap line all from West Fargo all the way down
to Waco,
Texas.
Yes.
And back and circling around.
Well,
and in the middle,
that western, we're going to take a train trip.
In the middle, catching a night train out and back to Albuquerque for a mixed family visit and professional meeting. And then eventually we'll come back here.
The day before classes start.
Yeah, or maybe not. Yeah, we'll try not to get stuck in Summit, South Dakota again.
Yes.
Well, is there anything else we need to clue in on? We'll be back here in the salon on the 13th of January, 2023, for Willow Creek Folk School number 125. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Well, I've got our calendar ballad for the week. It was finished a couple hours ago, sitting here at this dining room table with the help of a Labrador Retriever. It's inspired by the book of Isaiah, chapter 61. And it's a ballad called Beauty for Ashes. And it is one for the season. Great is thy prairie garden, Lord, the seas of grain and the rose sword. Hunger and want should have no place. Let generous hand display thy grace. Dispel the darkness and kindle the light. Beauty for ashes on a cold winter night. Where we too little care have shown, where drought has seared and the dust has blown. Teach us, Lord, gently what we must know. Entomb our sins with a forgiving snow. Dispel the darkness and kindle a light. Beauty for ashes on a winter's night. Lay on the sick thy healing hand, and make the fallen strong to stand. Show us the glory of thy face, till beauty springs in every place. Dispel the darkness, kindle the light. Beauty for ashes on a winter night. If I may pause just a moment. You know, I probably won't do it tonight, Dr. K, but probably tomorrow night I'm going to have to sit down and pay property taxes. Speaking of the seasonal rituals, right? Got them stacked up there on the roll top desk downstairs, and it's pretty easy to get grumpy when you sit down and you're paying your property taxes. There's two things I do about that. One of them is pour a couple of fingers of Alberta Premium Rye, or its equivalent, and that happens. And the other one is, when I'm done writing the checks for the property taxes, I write some more checks. And now we're getting back to May I Sleep in Your Barn Tonight, mister. Checks to people and organizations that feed people and clothe and house people. If you're feeling a little bit grumpy about your property taxes, or just maybe feel like you want to be a part of the solution, how about try that model? Wieersehen, Wieersehen, eins vergottes Drum, Wieersehen. Wieersehen, Wieersehen, Gott mit euch bis vieles Wieersehen. God be with you till we meet again. By his counsel's guide uphold you. The sheep securely fold you. about it. God be with you till we meet again. Where seldom is heard a discouraging word in the sky. On a cloud all the day. No, the skies are cloudy all day. Dr. Kelly.
We now conclude today's edition of the Folk School on Willow Creek. We invite you to join us again next Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time for more songs and stories.